afternoon. I'm here to speak with a friend of mine, Rabbi Kobrin, momentarily, but I can read something. I emailed her to ask if she would be willing to speak with me. Oh, here she comes. Hi.
Hi. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. I'm a little nervous and uncomfortable because I just feel, as I said to you in our emails, it feels crazy to ask somebody who is the victim of something to speak with me about your victimhood or about how to heal or how to make anything better. But your wisdom always comes right to the top of my mind when something is going on in the world. And so thank you for agreeing to speak with me.
And I so appreciate you reaching out. So this is when there's pain, when there's oppression, when there's hurt, when there's anti-Semitism, when we see signs above the 405 freeway that we want to cover our eyes and are astounded exist in our country today. It's up to all of us, I think, to speak and to reach out. And so like your desire to reach out and to have a conversation and to sort of bring light to this space of darkness is so deeply appreciated. It's so valuable.
To me, I feel like with all of this, I can't say the name of anyone who is such an anti-Semite. I can't give that person any attention.
Mm-hmm.
I can't I can't post pictures that to me feel like we're just spreading the idea that I don't want to look at hate. I don't want to spread it. I understand that we need to kind of all know what's going on and deal with it together. But I just want to ask you, first of all, are you okay? How are you? How is your community? How is your family?
Thank you.
And then I'm just going to make a compound question. And maybe, tell me what you think, but where is God in this moment?
Yeah.
Where is grace?
Yeah, no, I think so thank you. So I think, I can speak for me, my family, my community, sort of the Jewish people, like when this stuff happens, like we don't feel okay, right? Like we feel jarred. We feel, even just looking in 2021 alone, the ADL tracks anti-Semitic hate over the years, and I started doing it since 1979. And there were more acts of anti-Semitism in that year alone than there were in any other year last year. So knowing that like seeing those increases and feeling those increases, like we're aware, like we like having to have security at our congregations, at our synagogues, at our JCCs, like that's a real thing, it's like, and it's horrible. And we find grace and we find God in moments like this, in all honesty. It's like, that is where we find God, is when people reach out and when people say, I care, and when people say, how are you? And when people speak up and speak out against what is happening. And that counts, speaking up and speaking out against anti-Semitism and any other horrible thing that's happening in the world. I heard today somebody say that the term, it's not an oppression Olympics. And I love that, right? There's so much oppression in the world, in our country even. It's not about like who is more oppressed. It's about holding hands and standing by anybody who is oppressed and saying that your oppression is felt by me too. And I am standing with you. So there's this teaching, Rabbi Nachman of Breslov teaches, Kol Haolam Kulo Gesher Tzar Ma'od. The whole world is a very narrow bridge. And then the teaching goes on, and it's actually this beautiful song as well. And says the key thing is not to be afraid. And I love the song and I love the message, but the challenge for me is that we are afraid. Like, we're all afraid. We walk through the world, like, there are days we're less afraid, there are days we're more afraid, but fear is a reality that we fear or feel. Bravery, like real bravery, is when we feel the fear and we walk forward anyway. When we feel the fear and we speak out anyway. When we see something that isn't right, and when we make the phone call, when we speak out, when we say, like, we will not stand idly by. We will not stand idly by the oppression of our neighbors, of our friends, of our loved ones, of communities that are adjacent to us, of our own community. And when we have the courage to say that, even when we're scared to speak out, I actually think that that's where we find God. It's like this image that the world is a narrow bridge, like that narrow bridge, like we're tight together on it, you know? And when we feel each other really tightly together, when we feel like we're part of a richer, diverse community, and when people who are different from me, when people who aren't Jewish reach out to me like you and say, like, how are you doing? I want to have this conversation. That is actually where I find God. That is where I find God. It's in community. That makes sense?
Yes. I just want to be part of that.
That's great. And I think that is what will lead us forward. Like, I guess that's the charge that I put out there to anybody who happens to be listening right now, right? Like, what does it mean to speak up and to, you know, even when it feels uncomfortable or scary, to speak up.
Or just clumsy or full of shame of being a very privileged white, you know, Protestant woman. What is that? What is my place in that? How can I play a role there? And so you just telling me that it matters anyway is enough.
It's not even that it matters anyway, like all the more so matters. Like, really, like, you being my friend matters. You be like it matters more to hear for us Jews right now, I'll say, to hear from non-Jewish friends matters tremendously. Because it means that we're part, like people are seeing us, right? When you're in pain and you feel unseen, that's really hard. Like, think about any kind of pain when it's unseen and you're hiding and you feel like nobody is witnessing. But when people say, like, I am witnessing what you're experiencing, it makes you able to breathe more freely in the world. So, like, in synagogues around the country, we read a different Torah portion each week, and we're at the very beginning of the Torah. So we're in Genesis, the story of creation. And I think that I think we learn from story. We learn from, like, mythic narratives. We learn how to be in the world. And so there are these two unanswered questions in the beginning of Genesis. God asks Adam, where are you? And that question isn't about, like, where are you literally physically? It's like, where are you emotionally? Where are you spiritually? Who are you? What do you stand for? I think it's like a really inspirational question for us to always sort of have in our heads. Like, where am I in this moment? And what am I standing for? And then the second unanswered question is a little later on, right? Like, Cain asks this rhetorical question to God, am I my brother's keeper? And it's not answered, but we know the answer is yes. Like, we are all our brother and sister's keepers. We are. And we are here as humans. Being human in this world means that we are not isolated. We are united. And we have to care about the person who is next door, the person who is down the street, the person who is a few miles away, and the person who is across the world as well. We actually have to care about each other. That's what it means to have empathy, to have a conscience, to be in this world and know that we are on some level on that narrow bridge and interconnected. So it's reaching out. That's where we find God, and it's accepting the, like, grace. Like, we all have grace in our lives. It's like, I like to define it as the things that we don't even think that we deserve, that we were sort of born into, right? The life that we were born into, that and the pieces that we have gratitude for. And when we can find those pieces of gratitude, we can then try to share that grace with other people. And we can look out and know our own spaces of gratitude and be able to go out and help others to feel a similar sense of grace.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you mind taking us into just a moment of prayer? I love your prayers.
Yeah, absolutely. Makor HaChaim, source of life. Allow us, please, to elevate life. To walk holding hands together on that Gesher Tsar Ma'od, on that narrow bridge that is the world. And to know that we make it to the other side by hearing the wisdom of our friends and our neighbors, by feeling the deep truth that we hold in our hearts, and by having the courage, even when we are afraid, all the more so when we are afraid, having the courage to whisper, to speak, to boldly articulate the truth, the empathy, the love, the kindness, the equality that we yearn for in the world. May we have the courage, and may we have the capacity to walk arm in arm. And may we bring strength and grace to one another. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for reaching out, really.
God bless you and all of your family, your community, everyone you minister to. I'm thinking of you, and I'm praying for your safety and for your emotional health.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Everyone's better off for your wisdom.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for having the courage to do this here today, and for admitting your own, the fear that you and that all of us have, and for stepping forward anyway. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Take care. Please share this. I'll put this on the feed. Okay.
Awesome. I'll share too. Bye.
Bye.